Yeah.
Well, hello everyone.
Hello.
It's us again.
And welcome to my front room.
So you've got a different view today. We're not in the my office. We're in the front room. And the topic today, guys, is going to be superstitions and omens.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about it a little bit in a minute. After we said hello to a few of the guys joining us here, and but have a think. Have you had anything weird happen to you in your time that are connected with superstitions? Michael Angel, hi, Craig and Jane, greetings from New Jersey, USA.
And greetings from England to
Greetings
you.
from England. And I know the Americans have very different superstitions to those of us in England. Donna, hiya Donna, nice to see you.
Which came?
Hi Janet from Wyoming. Ah, yes, Wyoming. Yes, that's I always remember Frank Zappa's song about that. Agility Bits, of course. You're here every week.
Oh,
thank
thank
you for
you.
joining us again. Woof woof to you.
And thank you. My back is much better. Thank you.
Totten. Yeah, I used to do Totten Spirituous Church a lot in the past.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. My back is much better. Bless you.
Virginia. Oh, we've got quite a few from America today.
Ken
Yeah.
and Michelle. Oh, Matt.
Matt, yeah, we've seen you on here quite a few times because Matt's on. You can see he's from Facebook actually, and Justin also
Hi,
from
Justin.
Facebook down the road in Brighton.
Yeah, I love Brighton.
Good to see you guys.
Toronto.
Okay, yeah, so good. Anyone here from India? Because you know, I've liked some of those Indian superstitions. There's they're very different take on things. Ireland, Irish. They're not superstitious at all, are you? The Irish aren't superstitious at all. Rushington, I don't know where that is actually. But anyway, hi John, and hi
Germany.
Patricia from Germany.
Patricia.
Good to see you again. I think we had you on recently too, Patricia. I remember you came before. And Portugal, of course. Yeah, fantastic. And we seem to be getting. I had a few books published in Portuguese actually. My book, What to Do When You're Dead, was published in Portuguese, and a lot of my books, of course, in USA. Hi there, CB from Virginia in USA. We've got all over the states, it seems.
Oh, from Oz. Good day to you. Good morning to you.
Well, goodness, a good middle of the night to you, actually. If you're in Australia at the moment, must be God knows
Florida.
what time it is there. And Florida. Hi there, guys. Right, yes. And Diana from North Carolina. So we've got people from all over here. So we can talk to all of you about your superstitions. Yeah, and the Dutch have some strange superstitions too. I remember when I was in Holland, some people told me about that. And Maine, yeah. Okay, so if you've got any interesting stories, guys, start thinking about them now as we're saying hello to you all coming online.
Good vibes. That's nice.
Bahrain, wow, yeah, that's amazing. Isn't it? I still, you know, the internet is such an amazing thing, isn't it? We're all over the place, and yet
Brittany.
We can connect like this. Brittany and France, that's just down the road compared to some of you.
New York, I love New York.
Yeah, New York. Mayork.
Oh, Mayork.
From Derby.
Beg your pardon.
Derby's almost New York, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, so... and from Indiana, nice. Indiana. So it's good to. We're just saying hello to everybody. She'll start to join us. We'll be starting to talk about the subject shortly. Don't worry. From Wisconsin, all right. We seem to get more people from America than we do from England. You're never a prophet in your own town, they say, don't you?
Oh, that's nice.
You like the new setting? That's good. Yeah, I think it is a bit more comfortable for us actually. We might even try doing one in the garden one day if we know the cat's not going to jump on us and there's no one with.
Well, we can show you all around our house.
Yeah, we'll do some different views. And of course,
thank you, Noreen. Hope you're feeling better, Jane. You were missed all of you too.
And from Sweden again. We seem to have quite a few regulars from Sweden. Yeah. That's,
3 a.m.
Anyone from Iceland? I had some of my books published in Iceland. It's a country I used to. I really liked actually. From Maui? Well, I don't know where that is.
Hawaii, Maui.
I don't know. Nottingham. I've heard of Nottingham, of course. Yeah, that's.
Of course you have.
Yeah. Right, so don't forget to start thinking about superstitions that you've had. If you're just joining us, because obviously some of you are just coming in now, but we're going to do a whole thing tonight about superstitions and omens, right? Superstitions and omens. And people say they're not superstitious, but often they are, aren't you? You often claim to be all logical.
Old people in our grandparents' time were very superstitious.
Your nan was very superstitious, wasn't
Well, in those days, salt thrown over the shoulder for good luck. If you found a piece of coal in the road, throw it over your shoulder. Regardless if somebody's standing behind you, still throw it over your shoulder.
You're supposed to carry salt in your pocket in order to keep the devil away. Another one. You carry it round. Or some people put salt in their shoes. There's another one.
I've not heard that one.
Yeah. No, there's lots of weird. Friday, actually, we're doing this today on a Friday. Actually, Friday has some weird superstitions associated
Friday the 13th.
with it. Well, there's Friday the 13th, which is unlucky because that was the 13th disciple. But Friday was the day that Eve betrayed Adam. And that's why Friday's always supposed to be bad. You're not supposed to marry on a Friday. You're not supposed to set sail on a ship on a Friday. You're not supposed to do YouTube transmissions on a Friday.
Well, I know Sikhs, in the Sikh religion, Friday's very lucky.
Yeah, so it varies around the world. That's true, actually. Yeah, I've heard that. So each culture kind of has different ideas about it. A lot of the ones we have in the West are all from
Hawaii. I say it's in Hawaii. And also, you notice in these films, they always have a black dog or something. There was always in these horror movies a black dog.
Yeah.
And then a black cat's meant to be lucky. My grandmother was very superstitious of a white cat. Wouldn't have a white cat in the house or white. Yeah,
well, dogs were always considered superstitious because they believed that dogs could see the dead. They used to think that dogs could smell the dead.
Oh, look at that! It's a very interesting
So
one.
that's where Diogenes, of course, was the dog that took the souls to the underworld, led the souls to the underworld. My mother said, if you find a coin in your shoe, death will follow. She died about 2 weeks after finding a coin, along with my grandmother. God,
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of superstitions about finding coins, actually, lucky sixpences and things, aren't they?
Yeah,
we've got butterflies floating around in the conservatory there. They're supposed to be the souls of the dead, aren't they?
And years ago, they used to put a sixpenny, old-fashioned sixpenny piece in the Christmas pudding, didn't they, for good luck?
And also, a lot of the superstitions associated with coins came with the idea of putting the coins in the eyes. You used to put the coins in the eyes of the dead.
For the ferryman to come and collect it.
To row you across the river of Leith.
I know when I used to be a nurse, if you saw in a ward a bird circling around, then somebody is meant to be taken over on the other side and die. And it always was so. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of superstitions in nursing, in the theatre, My great-grandmother said during the storm you should open all the doors and windows, hide all the silver and cover the mirrors.
That's very interesting because my grandmother used to want to cover the mirrors with a black cloth or the silver and that because they used to be frightened.
My nan used to do that. My nan not Devonshire, my nan Parker on the dad's side. Nan, she was absolutely terrified by thunder and would always cover the mirrors.
And
she'd cover them up all the time.
When it was thundering, and I was only a young child, and my grandma said, "That's the angels moving God's furniture. He's just moved the wardrobe and used to be a loud bang. Now he's moved the dressing table," and I believed it.
I mean, some of the associations with a lot of these old superstitions go back to the times of the ancient Greeks. I mean, they would all things like the thunder and the landscape. For Greeks, look at that, I must have picked up. For Greeks, it's Tuesday rather than Friday, the unlucky day for historical reasons. They never start anything on a Tuesday. Fancy that. I was just talking about Greece, wasn't I?
Yeah.
But in Greece, a lot of the old superstitions go back to the times of the ancient Greeks. And there's so some of the words we get are puns on Greek words. I mean, I can't remember. It was something about donkey. I remember reading once that a donkey is a pun on the same with the word death or something. So they're unlucky to dream about in ancient Greece. Okay,
and feed the crows. That's what we do.
Yeah,
Ravens, feed the crows.
There's lots of superstitions with birds and things like that. And does anybody know any superstitions associated with rooks? Because we get rooks coming all the time.
I feed them.
Yeah, we all think that's kind of lucky to do.
Threes.
There's a superstition in Cornwall that if you crawl through the Men and Toll Stone 3 times, you get pregnant.
Well, you better not crawl through it.
There's a bloke down there who got causing trouble, obviously. I knew someone who tried this for infertility and it worked.
Oh.
They say the same with the the maze on the top of the Winchester Hill nearby us that you walk around, a woman walks around that, she'll fall pregnant, apparently. There's a lot of these things associated with fertility rites from the past and things like that, you know. I mean, I was having a dig through, I'll just tell you a little story. I was having a dig through some of the old, do you remember this story in the Daily Mail we wrote, Jane?
Yes.
I'll just tell guys about it, because this I got really interested in superstitions for a while and started writing a few silly articles for the newspapers. And the Daily Mail, I know nothing at all about football, all right? So they took me up and they got here, Craig, the psychic manager, professional psychic and football experts, right? And I wrote a thing about when they were doing the World Cup back in, what was it, 1998. Was that when we were on the big breakfast? Or
Yeah, it was.
That, wasn't
and
it?
I said, get a pair of football boots,
hold
it,
yeah,
and then do a mantra.
That's it. Curse the football boots of the other players and things. Wasn't it? We came up with these crazy. I just picked it up the other day, you know, and I thought, well, this is going back a bit. This is when Glenn Hoddle was the captain, and he got interested in all these superstitions and things and healing and things like that. So that they pulled out us psychics. And we were all sorts of things about, you know, the idea that the none of the women must watch the football. So at that time, Beckham was just beginning to.
What a relief!
Court Spice Girl, what's her name? Victoria Spice. So they must not watch the match, was the idea, you know, and people must. The older player must always throw the football to the younger player, so they pass on their experience, you know, and yeah, so there's quite a few things in that, you know. They must. I'm just looking at some of the things here.
Well, I think superstition and omens. I believe in omens, and that very much so. It's like my grandmother we're never allowed to bring white May in the house because it was considered unlucky. And she was very superstitious, my grandmother.
Yeah, well, this was a match against the Italians. Of course, Domenico's in the other area doing the in the control room there for us, as it were. And we should eat pomegranate leaves. The Italians, it was rumoured, were eating pomegranate leaves because that gives you extra fitness on the field.
Oh, so
it was advised that the team would eat pomegranate leaves.
I don't believe that.
And if you're watching the game, you must keep a live lizard in the room.
Oh, how ridiculous!
Having a live lizard in the room brings you luck, apparently. Ridiculous. You know, and you must wear figworts around your neck as well. That's always a good thing. So any sportsman listening, there's a lot of good tips there for you of the way you can actually win at sports.
You know who might be listening? We're lizards.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so that's a thing we did. I picked it up at some of the stuff of the superstitions, and also superstitions, of course, about dreams. That was something I put in a lot of books.
Yeah, and also superstitions never walk under a ladder.
Yeah, do you know where that comes from?
No,
I don't know. Does anyone else? Go Google it, someone. I think it comes from the fact that walk under a ladder, you're likely to get hurt, aren't you?
Well, it's a bit of paint pot or something.
Yeah. But some of these superstitions do have are rooted in facts, in things that actually they're kind of like I suppose it's instinct, isn't it?
Blue and red wakes up the dead. That's another one, an old one. And Chinese are very superstitious as well.
Yeah, of course.
They won't do anything on a 4 because it symbolises death. They do things on an 8.
That's because the Chinese word for death sounds like the number 4, and 8 is lucky. I'm not sure why 8 is lucky, but 8 in Chinese is supposed to be a very lucky number. In India, 108 is the sacred number because there's supposed to be 108 names of God, and actually 108 is an odd number because it's like all those weird things that happen around the number 9, multiples of 9. 999
names is what God's known by, and if you turn it around the other way, 666, the sign of the devil.
Oh, turn it upside down.
Yes.
Yeah, that superstition came from 666, was representative of Nero, as far as I'm aware. I'm not quite sure how we got to that though, so I've got a lot of holes in my knowledge about that particular fact. Yeah, there's some weird stuff out there. So growing up in an Italian family, we would have to touch metal or keys while a hearse drove by.
Well, that's very interesting. But I know in England, if you saw a hearse, you always bow your head or always cross yourself like that. I always do that anyway.
I know that in Italy, that if you wear an iron ring, it's supposed to protect you. Burglars are supposed to wear an iron ring, and it's supposed to be made from a nail. It'll make you invisible. Good for burglaries. And that nail, iron nails, must always be taken either from a church door or from a coffin. So if you want to be invisible when you rob somebody,
you probably
just
will,
as a tip,
you probably will be invisible if you took it from a coffin.
You've got to get it from a coffin or a church door. Well, I remember that one from the Italian superstition.
You'd have a third eye on the ring, surely.
Third eye is supposed to be lucky too, as is the eye of Hansa, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you've got any more interesting ones, guys, have a think about any superstitions that might have you not believed in and then they came true. Those are always interesting stories.
In the Serbian Croatia culture, where you leave a cemetery to must immediately
wash your hands. Yeah, yes. That's interesting.
Cleansing. It's sort of, I suppose when you think that might go back to like Christ.
Well, no, I think it's about not carrying the vibration with you, isn't it? Really, that's the kind of the idea with that, isn't it? Also, when you enter places, you're supposed to. Superstition says it's lucky to enter with your left foot, because our instinct is always to walk in with our right foot.
But not with Dr. Martens on, because you could trip over.
No, I seem to remember in India we always had to enter the temples.
No,
left foot first or
you
right
must
foot
never
first.
ever point your feet at a holy man, because it's considered rude.
That's considered unlucky too.
You tuck your feet in because it's considered rude and unlucky.
In nursing, we opened a window when someone passed. That's an interesting idea. Well, again, letting the spirit out.
Well, I know if we had a bird, when I was a nurse circling along in the ward, somebody always died. But we were very superstitious seeing a bird.
Yeah, and like I was saying about butterflies too, they in Ireland, I think it is, they reckon that if you see a golden butterfly at a funeral, it's supposed to be very auspicious symbol that
well, we had a golden one out there.
Yeah, and butterflies have always been considered as souls.
Well, spiritual, aren't they?
They often land on people's coffins and things like that. Lots of stories like that. But if you see 3 butterflies together on a flower, that's supposed to be very unlucky. Real bad news. Look it up. It's bad news. Don't ever look at butterflies if there's 3 on the same flower.
What about magpies?
And if a butterfly flies at night, it's unlucky. Apparently.
If you see magpies, always salute them.
I remember you told your friend Michael that, didn't you? Told him about all the superstitions associated with magpies, and he said he was terrified because every time he saw magpies going by, he was going to get bad luck, didn't he?
Yeah.
I've heard also that what you do on New Year's Day, you will be doing that all year long.
Something to look forward to, isn't it?
So most people are going to be drunk. I think that probably makes sense with a lot of people. Actually, New Year's Day, not New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Well, it's the same superstition. You must never cry on your birthday, because if you cry on your birthday, it brings a life of sadness.
Yeah, if it rains on a Friday, it will be sunny on a Sunday, they say too. And on New Year's Day also, there's the idea that you have to open the front door, open the back door first, don't you? Let the old year out and open the front door to let the new year in.
Something to do resembling the triangle of the
Holy Trinity. Yeah, they usually got some form of religious background to some of these things, Jason. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, they've got usually quite a lot of religious things, particularly in Western societies, of course. Anyone there from India? Because some of those superstitions I find interesting because they're completely unique to me, some of those. I remember when I was in India, people used to have all sorts of interesting superstitions. Number 8 in the Chinese sounds like to make money. Ah, does it? Right.
Yes, but they have the number 8 also in their telephone lines, because I have a client in Hawaii, and on her phone number there's about 3 8s. Yeah.
Not surprised. Never let a black go in front of you. Black cat.
Well, I thought black cats were meant to be lucky.
Well, it depends, actually. If you look in America, they've got different understandings of black cats to here. I was taking black cats as lucky, but they say if a black cat crosses your path, is it lucky or unlucky? Because I think the Americans and the British have different beliefs about that.
Because black cats years ago, in the medieval times and Victorian, were considered witchcraft, weren't they?
Well, they were the familiars, weren't they?
And they used to put a dead cat and bury it behind the wall in an old shoe.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird superstitions associated with weddings, of course, with black things, isn't there? Like they always said it was lucky to see a chimney sweep. That's why people would have a chimney sweep, boy dressed as a chimney sweep,
He's Elaine.
turn up at a wedding, even though chimneys are well and truly gone. It's bad luck to walk under a leaning ladder. This superstition really does originate 5,000 years ago in ancient Egypt. I didn't know that. A ladder leaning against a wall forms a triangle, and Egyptians regarded this shape as sacred and exhibited, for example, by their pyramids. To them, triangles represented the trinity of the gods, and to pass through a triangle was to desecrate them. Wow, fancy that. Well, there's something new. I didn't know that. Thanks for doing a bit of research there for us, Elaine. That's a pretty odd one. What's the weirdest superstition anyone can find, eh? Anybody? What's the weirdest superstition on earth? What's the weirdest one? I remember one. I think it was in Fraser's Golden Bough, which is a really interesting book to read if you're interested in magic and things like that. He said that they used to, again, it was to make yourself invisible. You had to melt down the hands of children, dead babies, and make them into candles, and that would make you invisible. And people used to do this sort of thing. They used to go to they used to exhume bodies in order to make wax out of them.
Cassie says, I live in North Carolina, and my granny said you can't be in the garden if it was your time of the month. Well, I know Romanis are very funny about that kind of thing. It's like you've got to have separate bowls if it's a woman's time of the month and things like that. But I've never heard in the garden.
There's a lot of those superstitions go back into African superstitions. I mean, one of the ones, I think it was the Neolites. I seem to remember reading. The Neolites, a tribe called the Neolites in Africa, used to knock the front teeth out of the women because they used to think because their teeth it was a superstition that they believed it frightened the cattle. So they just knock their front teeth out.
Well, I know,
makes sense.
I know in Africa when they have like gaps in between the teeth, that's meant to be lucky.
Another one I remember from Africa is you used to wrap a person in fire ants. It was lucky before they got married.
Not lucky for the person.
But before they get married, they wrap him in fire ants. So they must be completely swollen.
Gosh.
Yeah, God.
Magpies symbolise death. Well, some do. It depends. They always say, if you see 2 magpies are lucky, isn't it? If you see 3 magpies, unlucky, and then if you see 4 and 5, it symbolises a boy or a girl.
Yeah, that's like the old song, isn't it? I don't know why magpies.
They're beautiful animals.
I mean, they collect.
Oh, I know that one.
Things, don't
Breaking a mirror, 7 years bad luck. My grandmother used to believe in that. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a common one, isn't it? And there's a lot of things about mirrors. Because the mirrors in the olden days, they were kind of black, they were dark, so they only gave a sort of a part reflection. So when you looked in a mirror, it used to seem that there was other things creeping around in the background. This is what Nostradamus used to look into the black mirrors.
Right.
And it used to say that if girls wanted to know who was going to marry them, for example,
a candle.
They would have to do these rituals in front of mirrors and then throw things over their shoulder. And
I had to light 3 candles in front of the mirror before I saw your face, Craig.
Yeah. You were very, very lucky. I
was
like to say you were very, very lucky indeed. Yeah. So.
Oh yes, that's another one, Valerie. Never open an umbrella in your house can be bad luck. Why?
I don't know where that comes from. I had a book here somewhere, didn't I? I can go and get that book.
And it's funny, I still don't open an umbrella in their house because it's bad luck.
Yeah, it's funny how that one endures, isn't it? I suppose it comes from the idea that you open the umbrella, it breaks something, therefore it's unlucky. You walk under a ladder, something falls on you, therefore it becomes unlucky. So I suppose it's unlucky to grease the stairs because you might fall down or something like that, isn't it? So I expect some of these things come from things you tell your kids. It's unlucky to touch the fire.
There's another superstition about St. Swithin's, 40 days and 40 nights rain if it rains on a special day, which is St. Swithin's Day.
Yeah, St. Swithin's Day. If it rains on St. Swithin's Day, it'll rain all through the year. St. Swithin's Day coming up shortly, I think.
40 days, 40 years.
St. Swithin's lived up here by us, in Winchester. Yeah. Yeah, has it been? So it
Yeah.
was fine on St Swithin. So we'll have a nice summer.
Yeah. Knock on wood. Why wood? Yes, why wood?
Yeah.
Is that a coffin? I'm not in that coffin, so I
don't
knock
know.
on wood.
I don't know. I should get my little
I wonder
book
if
of
that's to do
superstitions
with
back with me.
coffins. Knock
Could
on
be.
wood.
Wood.
Or knock on wood for good luck.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I don't know where the wood one came from. Perhaps someone out there knows.
Eating crust will give you curly hair. I had curly hair.
Yeah, that's
so
a good one.
Mum reversed the psychology. Still got curly hair. That's funny.
Yeah, and another one. If you lose your hair, I remember reading, you lose your hair, you have to rub goose dung.
Goose dung?
Goose dung will make your hair grow. Yeah,
Do
yeah.
goose have dung then?
Goose dung, yeah.
Never heard of goose dung. I've heard of goose fat.
No, goose dung. You go and pick it up out the farmyard. That's what they used to do. They believe that you rub goose. Look it up. It's out there somewhere, I think. I remember I put that in one of my books once.
You're not supposed, Marisha says, you're not supposed to look into the mirror for too long or else you see how you die. Well, I know some people can look in a mirror and they can see all images like transfiguration on their face. So that might be where that came from.
Yeah, it might be. I used to look into the mirror, not out of vanity, but as an experiment sometimes. And this is a technique in yogic teachings where you two people look into each other's eyes and you change your focus from one eye to the other and one eye to the other, and then take the focus to the middle of the third eye. I'll teach this sometime. And you'll find that the face will distort and you'll start seeing all sorts of weird stuff if you do this sort of drishti, this gazing into
you can
the
do
older
that with
person.
a light bulb.
But you can also do it with a mirror and you'll see all your past lives. You'll see all sorts of strange faces.
Keep looking, Craig. Keep looking.
Yeah, anyway, that's another story. I'll do a serious one on that sometime and teach that to you because it's a very interesting technique. And of course, there's the other one. Of course, if you pull a face and the wind changes, it might stay like that all your life.
I used to say,
and it worked, didn't it? It happened. My dad was right.
And never cut your toenails on a Friday. Was another one.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about Fridays.
On a Friday.
Yeah, never. That's true. Never cut your nails on. Oh, missed that one. Put it up again, please. Don't pass.
No,
don't get a haircut on Tuesdays. Oh, right. Reconsider your transformation Tuesday plans. Get a haircut on a Tuesday in India cause bad luck based on legend. So there must be a story. Who had their haircut? Was it someone there wasn't there? I'm trying to remember. There might have been in the Ramayana something about that. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, because all around the world, I suppose it's based a lot of these on the superstitions that we have going back through all the stories we're told as children.
I go with that one. Don't pass anyone on the stairs. I must admit, I'm very much like that. I don't like anyone passing me on the stairs.
I heard about the cannibal who passed his brother in the jungle.
And I don't like anyone walking behind me going up the stairs. That might be a past life.
There's a joke there, actually. Are there superstitions in spiritualism?
Not as I know of.
Well, yeah, there are, possibly.
Like what?
A lot of spiritualists believe that that being a medium will give you diabetes. And I think that's a superstition.
Well, it's because you're meant to have sugar after you do.
Yeah, so that could be a superstition, or it could just be an observation.
That might go back when they actually had spirit-forming ectoplasm.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember when we demonstrated in London at the SAGB that time, and you sat on Arthur Conan Doyle's chair.
He didn't mind.
You mustn't sit on that. That was Arthur Conan Doyle's chair. It's unlucky.
And what did I say? I'm sure.
Are you sure he won't mind?
I'm sure he won't mind. He'll be delighted that Jane said.
That's an interesting question. I'm trying to think of this. I certainly think a lot of mediums I've met have been quite superstitious sometimes. Don't look in a mirror at night.
Oh, juju, man.
In Jitta, pure India. So you're not supposed to look in a mirror at night. Okay. You're not supposed to see a new moon through glass is another one either. I read, which is probably quite likely you're going to see it through glass. Yeah, don't look in a mirror at night. Don't know. So that's an Indian one. I think there's a lot of superstitions associated with mirrors, isn't there? I don't know if you know any more. My nan would put me out of the house just before midnight on New Year's Eve.
Oh,
Great,
I
was cold.
Lovely?
My job at the stroke of midnight was to ring the bell and give her the coal. Yes, I was to wish luck for the new year. That's right. Someone's supposed to come to the front door,
open the
with
front
a piece
door
of coal,
and then open the back door.
And you open the front door and open the back door to let the new year in and the old year out, isn't it?
That's really
that's an interesting.
That's quite
one.
Sweet, isn't it?
It's nice, isn't it, that you actually did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely memories.
Yeah, that's a lovely memory.
Yeah, why do we say fingers crossed? Well, I suppose really a symbol of good luck, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know.
That
I
might
can't
come.
remember.
That might come from India because they do all the different symbols
It's
and
probably
that. It's
the
like
cross, isn't it?
you know,
It's
like
the symbol of the
symbols would
cross, but I
represent
bet it
like
goes
the
back
devil
further than that.
and things, and like blessings and things. So it's all symbolisms. It probably came through from a Christian belief that.
Yeah, there's associations with hands as well as being lucky and unlucky. Like being left-handed, it was unlucky. That's where the word sinister came from. Sinisty, from being left-handed. That was always considered as being unlucky. Being cross-eyed is also unlucky.
Unlucky, but I think there's lots of talented people that are left-handed.
Having the slow eye is supposed to mean a thief, I think.
Well, when the eye goes in.
When one eye's slow, you know. Yeah, so there's lots of associations with the body, isn't there? And really quite brutal things for people.
Read that
too.
one, Craig.
Peel an apple in one go, throw it over the shoulder, and you get the first letter of your partner. All right, this is going to be your future partner, I expect. These are like these love superstitions from the past about people that.
Yes,
would,
I've heard that.
Yeah, so that's quite an interesting one. And there's always this throw over the shoulders. Gypsies say, "Buy my lucky heather and you'll be cursed." I always used to buy it.
Oh, that's just to frighten you to get money out.
Those gypsies, they played on.
Just because someone's a gypsy, it doesn't mean that they're being blessed by God or they got a gift.
Yeah, I mean the gypsies really took advantage of people.
They come from India originally, the real gypsies.
Yeah, we think like most people think they came from India, then up through Romania, didn't they? And then settled in Romania and then spread out from there.
Gypsies, the ones are quite clean. And they got very much.
But I think in the past, all these ideas of the gypsy curse, or gypsies understand your dreams, or gypsies can read the tarot cards. These were just the ways they made their money in the past.
Well, that's where you get cross my palm with silver.
Yeah, you know,
make sure they got the money first.
They're lucky to give me
make
money.
Make sure they got the money first.
Yeah. A rabbit's foot brings good luck.
Oh yeah, I remember my nan had a rabbit's foot.
So did my granddad. I used to think it was horrible. He said, "Steal that, Craig." And I spoke. What's that?
Creepy.
It's a rabbit's foot.
Creepy,
Ooh.
horrible.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, God, that goes back. My husband and I have broken many mirrors with our remodeling business, and so far, so good.
What do you mean by remodeling?
Well, I'm presumably doing houses up and things like that. I presume, but yes.
Don't get your coffee cup read for fortune telling at night. Well, I know they do read coffee beans, don't they?
Yeah, the things, if you've got bubbles in your tea, apparently that means lots of kisses. Some people say it's lots of money coming.
Well, you've got neither in yours.
Nothing, mine's completely empty. I don't even have any tea leaves in mine. But when you read the tea leaves, again, that comes from the ideas of some of the superstitions.
My nan used to do that and then turn a cup upside down and things.
And whatever's highest up the rim will be present near us now. Whatever's lower down in the cup will be future, further ahead. And you look at all the images and pictures and you interpret those. And if you interpret them using superstition, you will say, you know, scissors mean a cut in a break in a relationship, or and so on, you know, and they interpret the pictures.
When a newborn baby's born, they always place a piece of silver in that baby's hand for good luck.
Yeah, we still do it. All of us, don't we? Lots of people do that.
You know, good fortune.
Yeah, a silver spoon in your mouth sort of thing, isn't it? And so there's plenty out there.
Knitting outside can put them in Iceland.
Can it really? So that's what's for. I always thought it was the greenhouse effect. I thought it was people smashing greenhouses, having greenhouses that caused the problem. But it looks like knitting outside can prolong winter. If you're in Iceland, lost it, keep the knitting inside of the house. There's a local superstition that doing your needlework on your doorstep will keep those temperatures frigid. So knitting outside. So I suppose that's a bit of sympathetic magic, isn't it? Because it means the warm things you're knitting are getting cold. So there's this idea that magic bases around this idea that you do something that makes something else happen. So if you want it to be warm, you boil some water. Or you want it to be cold, you get some ice. You know. So
look at this one. Don't put your keys on the kitchen table. It just seems that has an invitation. Never heard that one.
I think I have heard that. And also they say don't ever even in acting, don't ever lay in a coffin because it makes you cough. You don't lay in a coffin because it's tempting death. There's quite a few things that tempt death with superstitions, aren't there?
Keys to the soul.
Yeah. So keys. Yeah, I suppose keys are about unlocking a door to somewhere else, isn't
the
it?
soul.
Yeah. There's a lot
either to the underworld or the spirit world.
Yeah.
Let's hear your superstitions.
Yeah. Do you have any yourself? Any that worried you?
Agility bits. How about feng shui? This is a complete superstition in itself, and it's by Chinese. Well, it does work. It's like if you have what's those coins called? But by the front of the door, what you use every day.
Of the Chinese coins that I use for the I Ching.
Yeah, what I Ching coins? You're meant to put them by the front of the door to bring good fortune, and have water, like a water feature by the door.
There's
a lot
behind that feng shui, actually. I don't think it's all superstition, although I can understand people thinking it is, because the idea with feng shui is that energy's coming in through the house, and it's going to move through the house and out the house.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like a river of energy coming through. So if there's a graveyard opposite your house, for example, they say, well, that bad energy will come into your house and make all the people ill, even though it's not illness in the normal sense. It's the bad energy.
The Chinese every year, they also have what they call ghost chairs, and they leave the chairs, and it's like their ancestors, and welcome them in the house. And also, if you go to Thailand, they have ghost houses, like a little bird's house, to welcome the ghost of the dead.
Yeah. And that feng shui again too is that they reckon that energy changes. Like there's certain energy, sort of like a sha chi, I think they call it, which is sort of like more pointed, sharp energy, and you have to soften that. And then there's other energy that absorbs. So if you want money, for example, water is a good thing. So you'll often notice in Chinese restaurants and things, they'll often have a fish tank by the entrance, because that means it absorbs the energy, it absorbs the money. And any round leafed things like those money plants, big bulbous round leaf thing, that also attracts money. But the sharp sort of palms and things like that would push things away. It's negative. So it's kind of superstition. And any straight lines are negative too, because so you break straight lines. You try to make everything in curves because you don't see curves in nature. And a lot of these ideas were based on observation of nature, and the positions of buildings are built in feng shui so that you can absorb the energies of nature. And I don't know, when I've been out, I mean, you do too, I'm sure, Jane, but when I'm out in a very beautiful natural place and I look at it, and I can see the energy. It's a bit like we were going to do auras tonight, weren't we? We were thinking about it. We thought we'd do superstitions, but it was like you can kind of see the energy moving through nature and through plants and through the world. So there is definitely an energy there. So I don't think feng shui is all superstition.
Yeah, when we go to the countryside, we can feel the ley lines, can't we?
Yeah, you can feel. And certain places definitely have certain energy to them, So I suppose, a lot of these superstitions are based upon those sort of things. I don't think feng shui is superstition. Not entirely. We've lost the light.
That's
the light went out there as I said that. So somebody disagrees on the spirit side.
This is from Jason. Years ago, I read there was an Icelandic superstition that a pregnant woman should not drink from a cracked cup, or her baby will get a hair lip. I've never heard that one.
But you can see the association with cracking the lip, isn't it? You touch the lip with a crack, therefore it might give the baby a cracked lip. Well, I mean, those Icelandic superstitions, there's some very weird stuff there. Have you heard about their Mother Christmas? We have Father Christmas, but they also have Mother Christmas. And Mother Christmas, I think it was, is some real evil ogre sort of woman, And if the children don't behave at Christmas, all they'll get for their Christmas present is a potato, And so they get, I think they get a potato every time they've done something bad, they'll find a potato on the lead up to Christmas. I think that's how it works. Shame. But then if they're good, they finally will get the final potato.
How many potatoes did you get, Craig?
Well, I haven't been brought up in Iceland, but yeah,
that's good. Cross swords or knives is a bad omen. But that used to represent that arguments, if you had knives and swords. I suppose that goes back to the medieval time as well.
And of course, there's the two spoons in the same saucer too, and that's supposed to mean a marriage, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Two spoons in the same saucers a marriage.
And this is interesting. Ken and Michelle, appliances break down in threes. Yeah, you always find in life things go in threes.
Yeah, bad luck comes in threes, they say. Deaths come in threes, don't they? And I don't know if that's something to do with the way we observe things.
Energies.
Or kind of we expect something else to happen, you know. But yeah, but it does seem to happen, don't you think?
It does.
I've always found it. If one person dies, you nearly two more come along, and when the third one dies, you think, "Oh, thank goodness they died, because now no one else is going to die." It's always the way you think, isn't it?
Tragedies happen in threes.
Yeah. Three, of course, is the Trinity. Again, that goes.
Hello, Ginger Cat. If you drop a knife, someone else has to pick it up.
Really? That's new to me. I've not heard that one before. You must never give a knife as a present.
I've heard knives.
They say you must never give knives as presents at weddings or, any time. Not that many people do give a knife.
Well, they have money now.
But I suppose a knife is a symbol of, hurting, isn't it?
Yeah,
so you don't give a knife at a wedding. I'm trying to think of some of those wedding superstitions because there were some pretty weird
In May,
ones.
you never marry in May.
We married on the 1st of April, of course, and I don't know if that's unlucky, but we did
Not
all right,
really.
I suppose.
32 years still together.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to marry on a Sunday, are you?
I don't think you can marry on a Sunday, can you? Not even now.
No, but it's supposed to be bad luck to marry on a Sunday.
Karina, an open toilet lid makes the energy go down the toilet feng shui. Yes, that's true. Because I always say to Craig, put the toilet seats down.
I think toilet seats should always be left up in the ready position, so that you don't have to go through all the trouble of lifting the toilet seat up. Obvious, isn't it? It's in the ready position.
No, I think they should, because flushing money away.
But I have heard that one with the toilets with feng shui before. Yeah.
Do ley lines affect spirits?
Yes. One reason I would say that, which is a different topic, really, Matt, in some ways, but where two ley lines cross is supposed to be called a node. And a lot of the places, the haunted houses, were on the nodes of two ley lines. One of the most famous examples was the Enfield hauntings, because they were supposed to be on the crossing point of two ley lines. That, according to Colin Wilson, again, I've quoted him quite a few times, but I've read a lot of his work. And there was he gave a whole list of places on that were based on ley lines that supposed to have been haunted. So maybe it's not to do so much with spirits, but the energy of the earth, maybe, or maybe it is to do with the ley lines themselves. Who knows? There's certainly a lot of Merry Christmas. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Father Christmas's wife was Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, very good one. Yeah. Yeah. Another Serbian Croatian superstition, these are good, is when a woman is pregnant, it's bad luck to deny her any requests.
Definitely. I'll go along with that one.
The women made that one up. Yeah, that's definitely an old wives' tale, not an old man's tale, is it? Yeah. So in Croatia, I suppose Croatia must be a completely different culture in many respects, actually, to have all these different superstitions. The Italians have a lot too, don't they?
Sneezing on a certain days of the week
hold different superstitious meanings.
Didn't it said when you sneeze something about the devil too?
Yeah, they all think the devil's got you, don't they, when you sneeze, because it's something that's taking you off guard, isn't it?
God bless you.
And there's always been a lot of ideas that the life is in the breath. So to sneeze is, again, one of those things that's connected with this idea of the life. And even the wind.
Well, you think about it, as far as it's going around sneezing.
Yeah, they're sneezing in that respect as well, I suppose, superstitions came from. But there's the idea that the life force was the breath, and that the wind itself would carry the soul to the spirit world. I mean, these things come up in the American Indian traditions, of the idea that the numinous or something.
Sneezing once a week, twice a kiss, 3 times the letter, 4 times something better.
Something
I've heard
better
that.
for 4 times sneezing. Yeah, that's why you've been sprinkling the pepper all around the place. Yeah, and of course, salt actually is another thing that was.
Marissa, what about marrying on Halloween? I'm getting married. Well, actually, our younger daughter, who's very gothic, She got married on Halloween, didn't she?
God, yes, didn't she? Then the first marriage, because obviously it didn't work out when I say the first marriage, because
but that mustn't. Don't let it put you off. It doesn't mean that's for everybody.
I mean, there was every bad luck symbol going there, really. Absolutely. Marriages really are always good. There's so many superstitions around what the bride must do or mustn't do, and things that you see when you're on the way to the church, and all these masses of superstition. Of course, getting on Halloween, marrying on Halloween means you have to push all thoughts of superstition completely out of your life, don't you? Because that's probably the most unlucky day of the year in terms of superstition. But then, are you superstitious or not? I mean, do you guys think there's anything in superstition? I mean, on one level, you could say it's all a lot of nonsense, but then we talk also about that feng shui business, and I think perhaps there is something.
Oh, and there's another superstition. If somebody doesn't look you in the eyes and always looking down, or the cross-eyed, beware. That's what my grandmother would say.
There's a lot associated with medicine too, isn't it? They say in I think it's in Indonesia or somewhere, that if you knock over the medicine accidentally before you're about to take it and spill it, it means you're going to get better and don't need that medicine in the first place. Or another one I've quoted before on here is, if you think of a green monkey when you take a medicine, the medicine won't work. So is hearing your spirit guide a good omen? I've been meditating a lot during lockdown, and very early one morning, as I was just waking, I heard a calming female voice saying my name. Was it my guide? Oh, big question.
Well, it could be. You might be between a lucid dream state.
Yeah, you see, it could be lots of things there, John. It could be a spirit guide. Yes, of course it could. But at the same time, it could be your own thoughts, particularly on when you're just waking up, because sometimes I find it's like when you observe the way you think, I mean, sometimes we think in words, sometimes we think in pictures, sometimes we think purely abstract, sometimes we're thinking in feelings. What is thinking? But when we wake up from a dream, we're thinking our thinking is almost slightly different. It's like we can still see the pictures outside ourselves almost, or hear the voice away from ourselves. It's like a voice in your head is more likely at a time when you're waking up. And it could be, but it could also not be. The only way to prove those type of things is to sit in a circle, and develop. And we will have some. I'm going to be setting up some online public circles in the future when we've got the new studio. This coronavirus is holding us back a bit with this. And I'll also be doing some private circles as well. And don't forget, if you want to, the first ones are going to be for the patrons. So if you want to join me on a circle, we're going to be doing some of those for the patrons. Particularly, I'll probably start off just with the $25 patrons, because you guys have been putting in such a lot and helping us so much. I really appreciate that. So we'll also have some more public ones for everybody as well. And I'm going to do some teaching things about how to, we'll do it regular, and how to connect with the spirit guides and with the spirit world. And we'll try to do some practice, and I'll get the video up so we can interconnect by video like you do on Skype. So that'll be something probably done through YouTube again, like this, and then it'll be set live later on. So that's something to look forward to for the future. And so become a patron, and you'll start to find a little bit more about that. And don't forget also, if you're new here, do like and share this. Share this on Facebook, and share it all around so that other people can start to join this channel, because it's good fun having lots of you guys watching it. But we want to get the message out to as many people as possible. So do like it and share, and follow the channel. Click that little bell thing at the bottom of the screen. So Jason knows all about the Greeks. Are you Greek, Jason? For Greeks, if you or the person, Georgia, it probably is Greek, isn't it? Yeah. I should imagine it is. What is it you saying? Yahoo, isn't it, in Greek? Is it?
Well, one Greek name's Janus, isn't it?
Yeah, Janus. No, but I'm saying that Yazoo. That's it. I remember from in Greece. For Greeks, if you or the person serving you accidentally spill your Greek coffee while drinking, it means luck with money. Has happened to me before. Oh, really? You've actually had some good luck with that, have you? It's unlucky to spill a drink. That's though, isn't it? It's unlucky to spill a drink.
Arab saying as well. If you spill coffee.
I think there's quite a lot of superstitions associated with the spilling of drink,
especially with coffee.
and it's usually unlucky.
No, it's good fortune.
The Greeks actually, Jason, they have a hell of a lot of superstitions that are completely unique to Greece. And the Greeks were one of the first peoples to write down dream interpretation books. So a lot of the superstitions that you read in dream interpretation, right back to the time of Delphi and all around then. And they used to actually have temples that you would go into sleep in to have a dream and get a dream from the gods. So they say it's superstition, but the Greeks were really into this idea of getting messages from the spirit world or from the gods through dreams. And a lot of the dream books, the superstition-based dream books, not the psychology-based ones, when they say if you dream of this or that, this will happen, are based on a lot of the original Greek dream books that go right back to the times of, the first written records from Greece. So, the superstitions stay with us a very long time. My nana said that a knock on the window foretells death. Then she went on to talk about a relative, and we had a clear knock on the window. No one was there, and the relative actually died shortly after.
But don't forget, in spiritualism, the Fox sisters heard tapping and things like that. That's how all that come about, like from the other side. And I've heard that taps on the window.
I actually heard that if a bird taps on your window, it's a sign of death.
Yeah, send that.
Because if a bird sits and taps on the window, it's supposed to be a sign of death. And if a bird flies into your house, it's supposed to be a sign of death, isn't it?
Yes, first, like I say, when I was a nurse, we had a bird that used to fly around the ward, and somebody just died.
It's amazing when you think about it. These are quite common superstitions that Jane and I have mentioned some of them here. Amazing how many superstitions we all know, isn't it? And stay with us, really. It's a weird thing that we still, in this modern day, in the 21st century, still have these superstitions, and they endure, don't they? Okay, Patrice, what we've got to say here. I do think there's some truth in certain superstitions. Sometimes I was to warn people or keep them in line, but also good superstitions or omens working with the energies.
That's absolutely true, because they are warnings, and that you can put them to the power of good.
And like she says, also it keeps people in line sometimes,
absolutely.
Isn't it? I mean, it's it's like I say to Jane, it's bad luck to spend money in John Lewis. It'll all bring bad.
He never spends any.
Or
spends my money
and things like that. It's your mum's the most superstitious person I know.
Yes.
And everything means death, doesn't it? Everything means death, whatever it is. Oh God, you can't do anything.
It's like she's hexing people.
Hexing you with these terrible
witchery.
Craig
calls it.
She's the witch.
Witchery.
She is. She puts all these hexes.
My grandmother was a white witch, but she's definitely witchery.
Well, she's the mother-in-law, so what can I expect? I shared your channel on Facebook.
Oh, thank you,
Cheryl. This is the sort of thing we like. If you can help to share it. And don't forget to follow it. But I expect most of you guys watching this are following. But it's nice to get out there, because actually we're on 83,000 followers now, or just over, which is quite a lot. Once we get to that 100,000 followers, I think YouTube give us a special award or something. And we get extra exposure, and that YouTube help you more to get your channel out there. So it helps us if you do share it and help us get more subscribers. Karina saying here in Sweden it was in the olden days a common ritual on the midsummer night to walk around a well 7 times backwards to see the person you're going to marry.
Did they fall down the well?
I'm going to say it sounds dodgy. And Sweden on midsummer, you get bitten to death by midges then, wouldn't you? I know Sweden gets a lot of midges in the summertime. So if you're walking around, I kind of imagine everybody scantily clad walking around backwards around a well like some magical act. Yeah, perhaps it worked. There's lots of those type of things at special times of year.
Oh, the banshees. Well, on my side of the family were Irish. On my father's side of the family, the banshees screaming.
But I don't know much about the banshees.
Yeah, banshees are
they were
like
spirits, weren't they?
Yeah, there is.
I know your friends there in Skerries go on about.
There's a famous film with Sean Connery in. What was it called? Kerry. or something. It's where Sean Connery and the screaming banshees that come, and they used to come from the sky, and then you had
I remember
the
that
horses and that, and the little people.
Well, there's some Americans. Wasn't John Wayne in it or something?
No,
as well?
not John Wayne. It was Sean
There was somebody
Connery.
unexpected in it.
Sean
from
Connery.
Oh,
No, it's
I can't
no
remember.
American.
It's
It's
a black and
Irish.
white movie. I'm thinking.
No,
of.
it was not. This is coloured one.
Yeah.
And Derry and the little people. It was great.
Salt protecting your home.
But your thoughts, not salt.
Of thoughts
On
salt protecting your home, right? Yeah, I've heard about this. One of the things in voodoo, I remember, I wrote a book called Protecting the Soul, and in that, and it's also now called, as republished now, as Psychic Protection, and in that one, I researched a lot of things about things like voodoo, and what they used to do is they grind brick dust. You have to grind brick dust and put a line of it in front of all the doors of the house.
They do that in the
to
occult.
stop spirits
They
stepping
put
across.
like a pentangle, and they put salt on each corner of the room and outside the pentangle, so it don't allow the spirits in.
Another one I remember from the voodoo things is one of the things in voodoo to stop negative things against you is you have to have baths in different things. And one of the baths is a bath in chicken heads. You have to have a bath filled with chicken heads, and you
horrible.
sit in that, So I might try that tonight in case there's any bad evil influences out there.
Well, you won't be trying it near me. I
I'm
can
sure,
tell you that.
I'm sure spirits wouldn't go
No,
near
but
any of
salt,
us with that.
Salt acts as a protection, because if we go back in the ancient times, salt was very precious. Salt,
Yeah.
And they had salt mines and gathered salt from the sea and that, and it's considered as like gold and salt, holy.
And also, salt is something you required. It's the only real mineral we really have to have, because we would die without salt, and we don't get it through anything
sodium,
else. So that's why it was
sodium, potassium in your body,
and probably why it was connected with the idea of life, life forces and things like that. So salt is associated with life.
Our producer's just telling us.
Right, last question coming up, guys, and don't forget again, like and share this video, and if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to our channel and also our Facebook pages, which will all be in the description below. You can find our website, and we've got in the background Domenico helping us here, and don't forget, go and subscribe to his website too, his YouTube channel, because he's put some great stuff of odd curiosities up. And we've also got a secondary channel that I've just got started, which is all the bits of hear that bird crow?
Yeah.
That must
the
be
ravens.
Lucky. As long as it don't crow 3 times.
That's the ravens.
That's the ravens. They know us.
Feed them.
We know them. They don't mind. They're not unlucky. But you've got a secondary channel if you want, which is all the bits of me and Jane in the garden and those type of things, and all the sort of the day-to-day background stuff that we do. All those sort of our ordinary life
you can
stuff.
watch some of our television stuff as well, don't forget, Craig.
Yeah, and there's all our TV stuff on this channel. And if you become a patron of the channel, there's all lots of extras that go just for patrons as well. Not massive amounts, but you'll get the odd video there, and you'll get to interact with us, and I'll always answer your questions.
It might be interesting for them to see when we went to Beverly Hills. And
I can post that one up on the Patreon channel.
Beverly Hills,
yeah, I'll put that one up
Hollywood,
yeah.
And Julia Roberts' brother, Eric Robinson, giving a reading, and many stars and celebrities. You might be interested in that.
A bird pooping on your head is supposed to be good luck.
Not in Craig's. Not in Craig's
that's
head.
why I deliberately lost the hair, to make sure that I could wipe it off of all this good luck that comes my way.
Meant to be on the car, isn't it?
Interesting. In China, a bird pooping on your head is bad luck. Yeah, I've heard the same. Struck by muck brings good luck, my nan used to say.
I never heard
that. No, definitely. I think
I've heard where there's muck, there's money.
I remember I got hit by bird muck on my first marriage, and it was bad luck all the way. Does 11 or 44 or 22 often mean any kind of messages? In numerology, 22 and 11 are both considered as being extremely lucky numbers.
But then saying that, number 11 means connecting to heaven and earth.
Yeah.
And that's when the Twin Towers,
so
of course.
Often number sequences have all sorts of meanings. I mean, this idea of the magic squares and things like that, we saw some in Barcelona in
Seville.
Barcelona, wasn't it? And the Familia, whatever. So
yes, that's
and the popes used to have magic squares, because these magic squares are supposed to be very lucky. There's something about the mystery of number of sequences.
Notre Dame used to be back
And maybe
into
there is something in that, you know. What maybe it's like a mantra in an abstract form. So perhaps
I know
that
number 33 is always in the magic numbers.
and yeah, and 23 is another number. We live at a number 23, and my granddad was at a 23, and 23 comes up over and over again.
Yeah, Valerie,
2020 has not been lucky.
I don't think it's been lucky for most people.
No, I think the whole
it's
world's
been a
had
terrible,
a bad time.
It's like an awakening, really,
And
because we've had bushfires in Australia, we've had this virus, we've had money troubles around the
We've
world.
got an economy just about to collapse and mass unemployment.
Save your money.
And there's a white cat over there, and there comes Boo, and he's going to walk on the laptop.
No, you won't.
We might lose everybody.
Boo, come on, Boo. Boo delicious.
But yeah, so white cats normally considered unlucky, aren't they?
Not to me. Well, you know why? Because they say white cats were the most cats that weren't deaf.
You're going to come and say goodbye to everyone, Boo. Boo, come
No,
and say
he's
goodbye
alright.
to everyone. Yeah, come on, Boo, Boo. Come on, up you come and say goodbye. We're going to say goodbye to you. And here he is. Boo has come to say goodbye from you.
It's my handsome boy, aren't you?
So you're lucky, are you, Boo?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to say bye to you all now and thank you for giving us the questions too, Nana, because that helps us. And thank you for joining us, all of you. It's nice of you to come along.
Yeah, we enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, we're still in a semi-lockdown, all of us, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
And you know, so that's the way of the world.
Thank you, Karen.
It's nice to feel that we connect in a way, from our point of view too. We feel
Bye-bye,
we've got to know
Boo.
a lot of you, and we do know a
He's
lot of
gone.
you through the Patron pages. So anyway, we're going to say bye to you all now. Bye for now.
Bye. God bless.